in that National Council of that time. When he mentioned those issues, some of them now you are privy to, Honorable Nandala replied to him. A good number of you have never known what Honorable Nandala replied to Dr. Besigye, but I'm not going to mention it here because National Council in its wisdom said we should not take it out. We should form an elders committee to look into those issues. What Dr. Besigye said leaked out. What Mr. Nandala replied to him that time did not leak out. All of you are aware that day, a good number of you are here. When those discussions started behind there, I was forced to chase you away. I'm sorry, but I chased you away. Tactically, you did not know that I was chasing you away because I didn't want you to hear what is happening behind there. I apologize for that. But I had to do it because that was my duty, to protect the image of the party. So after that NEC conference, there were more than 250 people. When they listened to the issue they were talking about, they said these issues here are not for us to discuss here. Who are older than these people who are saying them here. So National Council instructed NEC to appoint senior elders who are well known to everybody and respected by everybody to look into these issues. Honorable Amuriat, as the party president and chairman of NEC, had the responsibility to look for names of people to be on this committee. And something I want clear, so I heard somewhere someone say Mr. Amuriat was also accused, how could you choose a committee? By that time, nobody had accused Mr. Amuriat. And nobody should lie to you about that. Nobody. And he was not in the fray. The NEC members can tell you. By that time, it was Nandala and Dr. Besigye who exchanged down there. So, Mr. Amuriat brought those names to management. By chance, I was on that management that day personally. These two gentlemen were not there. And we discussed, there were 9 names then. We discussed the 9 names, and then we agreed to remove 2 names. As you know, FDC, we must have national character. That's the first thing we start with. Whatever we are doing, someone must come from east, north, central, and west. The first rule we start with that way. If we are choosing 4 people, they must be coming from those regions. We are doing this because some people, whoever joins the party, wants to see himself in that mirror. A party is a mirror. If you don't see yourself in that mirror, you cannot join that party. So we agreed that we must have a national character. So those names were taken to, 7 names were taken to NEC. The 7 names were passed by all members of NEC who were there that day, chaired by Honorable Amuriat. NEC instructed President Amuriat to take those names which are passed to the 2 people, to Honorable Nandala and to Dr. Besigye. Those names were taken to Dr. Besigye, and he approved all of them. He had no problem with any of them. They were taken to Honorable Nandala, he approved them. And then we agreed that when you choose the 7 people, they will choose their own chairman, not us to choose for them anything. And there were terms of references which Doctor agreed upon and Honorable Nandala agreed upon. So after choosing them, Honorable Amuriat went to inform them that now you are going to help us to do this work. Because all these people here had FDC at heart. A good number of them were founder members, and others were people who are high in society as far as reputation is concerned. So that's how Mr. Nabuso Committee was formed. All of us agreed on the names. There's no single person who can lie to you that did not agree with this committee. Doctor agreed, Honorable Nandala agreed. That's why they appeared before them. So now, I want to hand over the microphone to Honorable Nabuiso.
August 2023. And we have agreed to issue a press release from the special FDC Leaders Committee Our address is titled Honorables Besigye, Amuriat, and Mafavi will still be needed when rebuilding FDC. Good morning, honorable members of the press. We salute you for the great struggles you are engaged in to become the fourth estate in Uganda's governance system. You are very, very important in our struggle for democracy and basic human rights of Ugandans. The purpose of this press release is fourfold. There are 4 objectives. 1, to remind you, the pressmen, of the terms of reference which our SEC means Special Elders Committee, requested to concentrate on during our investigations. 2, to respond to some of the allegations which some of the senior FDC leaders have made against us. Hey.
Sorry.
3, to reiterate some of the recommendations we propose to make FDC stronger in the future, particularly in the next 30 months. That is from September this year to December 2025, before the next fraudulent general elections in January 2026. 4, to remind Ugandans that political liars and fraudsters are found in other political parties in Uganda. In short, what is happening today in FDC is also happening in other political parties. The NRM has 2 presidential candidates, a father and a son. UPC has 2 presidents, the son of the late Dr. Bote and Peter Walubiri. DP has 2 factions, one led by Mao, who has now gone away, and Ruiga, Dr. Lulume Baiga. Jema, I have not heard anything from them. And CP. But we are scared that such things which we are going through may also happen to NUP. So we want to pray to them to be steady and not go to the situation in which we are today. This release is our clarion call and a humble appeal to all FDC leaders in different corners of Uganda to stop washing our political underwears in the public and confusing innocent members at the grassroots. It is based on the FDC's motto, one people, one Uganda, or one Uganda, one people. We should rise above our individual interests, religious beliefs, and ethnic groups, because we are one people who belong to one country. As is already known, on Friday, 20th July 2023, 5 from SEC, us, formally presented our 19-page report to the FDC National Council meeting here in the FDC headquarters. The 5 were me, Frank Nabwiso, the chairperson of the committee from Busoga sub-region, Tiko Martha Ondoga, a lady from West Nile who has not been able to travel here, Emusu Joe Ediegu from Teso sub-region is not here. Mukalazi Kibuka and this big man, Robinson Kasozi, they come from Buganda. The 6th member, Stanley Tugume Katembeya from Ankole sub-region, and who was my vice chairperson, resigned from the committee after participating in the formulation of the first draft of this report. While Charles Makaru from Kanungu did not attend any meeting for unknown reasons. Honorable Amriat, the current FDC party president, who officially appointed us, revealed, as Okitiba Chikonyogo has said, that our names were approved by the FDC National Executive Committee on 12th May 2023. We therefore got the impression that we were appointed on merit and not as sycophants to some of the current FDC leaders. Our terms of reference. These are going to be distributed to you after this meeting. Even this document is going to be distributed to you so that you can use it as a reference point. We want you to note that we were given 8 terms of reference. We were directed to focus on reconciling the aggrieved parties in FDC, but not to create more divisions among them. The term of reference number 6 also gave us 10 days to carry out our investigations and make appropriate recommendations to enable the party to move forward more peacefully and responsibly. So those who believe that we did show the work can still call for another committee. They can still request for another committee to satisfy their assertions. We are also aware that even World Bank reports have been criticized by different scholars and ordinary analysts. So our report is not perfect, and none of us who wrote it is perfect. None of us has claimed to be perfect or to be holy. We live on earth, we don't live in heaven. I now wanted to turn to some of the allegations which have been made against us. The first one is that we doctored the report in favor of Mafabi, or that he dictated to us what we should write about him. This allegation came from some newspapers, allegedly from Honorable Ibrahim Onganda Semuju, Honorable Elias Lukwago, and Doreen Nyanjura. The MP for Kira, the Lord Mayor of Kampala, and the Deputy Mayor of Kampala, respectively. We believe that those 4 people are entitled to their opinions about us. But it is still their responsibility to prove that we don't have independent minds. This gentleman has introduced me and him. This is a former minister. I'm a former professor, university, former MP for Kagoma County in the 7th Parliament. I'm one of the 50 people who rejected the 5 million shillings to remove presidential term limits from the Constitution. I'm the only one who presented the Rwakitura Plan of 1993, where 77 people sat and said that they wanted to rule Uganda for 50 years. And we have gone for only 38 years, so 12 more. If not, another 50 years. The first president of FDC, whom we have high respects for, described our report as not being worthy the paper it was written on. So according to him, even in the paper we wrote on was useless, not worth reading. He further asserted that, 1, he gave us the serial numbers of the new notes of shillings 300 million, which Honorable Mafabi asked him to keep in his house in Kasangati for FDC election agents. He also said that we did not resolve the unresolved data money, and that we did not inquire into the current accounts and the financial records of the party using forensic methods. That in Honorable Mafabi's statement to us, he never mentioned the shillings 280 million which he gave to Honorable Amuriat. He also said that we parroted. A parrot is that bird which we parroted Honorable Mafabi's lies that the shillings 300 million was for party agents. And that lastly, he said that we selected and inaccurately recorded what he told us. Response is as follows. our terms of reference advised us not to engage in witch hunting games. If Honorable Mafabi had deposited the shillings 300 million elsewhere, if, for example, I had hidden it in my house, would I have gone out to say, I have this money? Would Dr. Besigye have known and initiated this saga? Additionally, Dr. Besigye never disclosed to us the name of his informer from State House about the dirty money, as he called it. It is also true that Honorable Muriat admitted to us that he indeed obtained shillings 280 million from Mafabi for his presidential campaign. Honorable Mafabi was authorized to borrow money by the party, for the party. And Honorable Mafabi complied. He also tendered some bank papers which he showed that he withdrew money from his own bank account in Chambo. On the other hand, Dr. Besigye did not prove to us that money came from State House. I think according to the Monitor today, Dr. Besigye has shown the serial numbers of the new notes of money which he recorded, which he says came from State House. But it is also true that the State House pays money to its clients, suppliers of this or that, goods and services, and that money still ends up in commercial banks. It is also true that the money that Nandala took to Dr. Besigye was not the same money that Dr. Besigye gave back to FDC headquarters. The other ills we identified, we said that Dr. Besigye's refusal to campaign for Amuriat in 2020 to 21 disadvantaged other FDC candidates. But in his lengthy report here, he did not make any comment on that matter. Nor did he respond to our observations on the need for the party to continue participating in elections, while it can also organize other activities to pressurize the government to bring political and socio-economic reforms. He did not say in this report, this paper, publication, anything about the growing disagreements between the Katonga group and the Najjanankumbi. But Katonga is not independent. It's not a breakaway group. It is a part and parcel of Najjanankumbi. Najjanankumbi is in charge of implementing the work plan of the party. our recommendations to make FDC stronger. We made 8 recommendations to help the party grow. We stressed the following needs. We said there is need for reconciliation, tolerance, grooming younger leaders, amending the FDC constitution in some parts, developing party alliances in Uganda. In Kenya, for example, they usually have 2 presidential candidates only. In the last election, Ruto had several political parties which united and voted for him. Raila Odinga also had 3 or 4 political parties in Azimio alliance which voted for him. We have not yet reached there in Uganda because we have had military governments from 1966 to present. The day we will also think about forming political alliances to fight against dictatorial rule in this country, we will thank God. We also recommended that a book should be written on the history of FDC and the people who have contributed to the party, to the growth of the party, should be highlighted. And we believe that President Besigye should be highlighted in that book because of the sacrifices he has made for Uganda and for the party. That is why we are sad that the president is undermining his own legacy. And we want to appeal to him on our bended knees that he does not do that. We also said that management of African opposition parties is no easy task. Not everybody in the FDC is a manager or can manage an institution. Yes, I have been a vice chancellor of a university. But if you put me in a political party to manage it, I may not be able to manage. And we also, there is a book I have come with here.
Okay, let's say on the words.
No, it is here. In book and some books and papers, there is already a paper called Forum for Democratic FDC, Democratic Change, Historical Tracking. It has not been published yet. We also have additional suggestions to the committee from Besigye. We have Kalinaki Daniel's book entitled KIZZA BESIGYE and His Unfinished Revolution. We want that revolution to be completed. That is to create a people's government and not a government of a few people. One professor from Busoga wrote a book called In Defense of Besigye's Basic Human Rights. And Sabit Jack gave us a book, a paper called My Thoughts About the Problems in FDC. I do not mention the others, but what I wanted to explain is that some people may be whispering messages, wrong messages, to KIZZA Besigye to destroy his legacy in this country. Lastly, I want to stress this. We have only 30 months left to have general elections in January 2026. One party has already identified 2 presidential candidates. The other parties have not identified their presidential candidates. So we should not waste time bickering on things which we cannot prove. We should focus on what is positive, what Ugandans want. They want a change in power. And therefore, I want you to help us, help FDC, not to waste time, valuable time, but to bring out the current problems this country is facing. Our population growth tells us that in 27 years' time, Uganda will have 103 million people. Kampala is 5 million today. In the next 20 years, it will be 10 or 15 million. What do we do with the population growth? Matia Kasaija, the Minister of Finance, told us in 2018-19, when he was reading the budget, that Uganda's economy, 69% of the economy, is in the hands of foreigners. Who is building these high scrapers in Kampala? Who has brought all sorts of foreigners here? Our educational system is pouring out 500,000 people every year who cannot get employment. And you know who is in charge of education. The other problem is that we have refused, for example, to promote cottage industries in every home. Instead, we worship investors. My time is over. Besigye is the man who became the first president of the party. Therefore, he's a key figure. And it is very important that we preserve his name. Secondly, before we issued this report, we met with the 4 party leaders So let me read this. We met them in the FDC boardroom on Wednesday, 12th July 2025. The people, 23, sorry. The people we met were Honorable Dr. KIZZA BESIGYE, Honorable Amriat, Honorable Mafabi, and Honorable Ekanya. The meeting lasted for 3 hours. We were brainstorming on the need for reconciliation and the development of the party in the coming years. We asked them, what do you want to do now? The four of you are here. This was before we issued this report. Geoffrey Ekanya told us, no, you organize a press conference. Tell the people that these fellows have reconciled. And we told him, no, that is not our mandate. Our mandate is to produce the report for the National Council to take action. None of those 4 people said that he did not like a reconciliation. Besigye wanted it. Nandala Mafabi said he wanted it, but he wanted the Besigye to prove that he took money from State House. So we said, okay, we have tried. If they had agreed on that day to our proposal, all this saga would not have happened. But the person, I think the person who first leaked out and said that the party is, this report is about pro-Nanda, is pro-Nanda, I think was from some of Besigye's friends. Wycliffe Bakandonda, we interviewed him because he was the first Chief Administrative Officer of FDC. Personally, I worked with Bakandonda anyway, when I was a member of the Board of Directors on transport. He was working in railway, the railway organization. He was a fountain of knowledge about FDC inside out, because he was the first one. So we don't believe that this is biased. No, we think that we have done our duty properly. And of course, Nandala, we have cautioned him, and Ekanya and Amriat in this meeting which took place here. That is my answer to that question. We have recorded most of what he said. I think it was on 6th June. We interviewed Mafabi on 7th June. And we said a lot of things about it. We wrote quite a lot. We were investigating in that interaction. We also interviewed the following people. Ekanya Godfrey, because he's the current Treasurer General. We interviewed the Chamba de Wilberforce, is the current Deputy Treasurer General. Bakandonda Wycliffe, because of what I have already said. We also interviewed Patrick Oboy Amriat and Namians, and we recorded their statements. They are here in full. And I think this report has been posted
fact, there have been some.
So we investigated. Now, one of the most important questions we asked, and maybe you may want to give us some idea. Why did Dr. Besigye agree to have this money, to keep it, when he was not the party treasurer general? Because you know you can create problems for yourself. If you are not the party general, party treasurer, why do you accept money and keep it and then later transfer it to your shop from where it was paid back to FDC? Why? We are not demonizing Besigye. We're asking critical questions. If somebody wants to go to court, the court will ask these questions. It is also important, Madam, when Besigye was accused of rape some years ago back, he did not say a word. The lawyers said the man who accused, or the girl who accused him of having been raped, is the one to produce evidence. He did not utter any word. And the court made a judgment in favor of Besigye. So the person who insisted on this money issue is KIZZA Besigye. So we are saying, that's why we have said that he is responsible for showing, for adducing evidence. We are not lawyers, we are elders, but even elders have some legal brains. Any other question?
As an elder, I humbly request you to make a comment and a founding member on the ongoing party elections. I think I'm done.
We have evidence that we were bribed. Please bring it out. That's the first thing. It is you who must prove that we are bribed. I have been in the public life for many years. By the way, some of you may not know that I was the secretary to the NRM external wing in Nairobi, and the secretary to the peace talks in Nairobi between Museveni and Okello before President Moya and Kibaki. I have lived in this country in the last 38 years. Has anybody ever said that Nabuiso is corrupt? My friend is here, he can also make a comment on that. Now, so for us, we are trying to advise people not to buy rumors, because rumors can be very destructive. We did not get any money from him. I bought this suit some years ago, my children bought it for me. To spoil the name of Nabuiso. Nabuiso stands for something. It makes a man with small eyes but foresighted.
Now, for me as a member of that money changed hands. If it ever changed hands, they did without my knowledge. And I'm sorry that I don't share the money, because I didn't even know where the money was shared. But I highly doubt that the money changed hands, because all the time we've been working as a team. And by the way, even the vice chairman of this elders committee, Tukume Katembeya, worked with us for 10 long days. until he left to go to Nairobi for treatment. We kept on calling him on phone. At one time he told us he was at Entebbe airport having arrived from Nairobi. We waited for him in Kampala, and he said now he's driving straight to Nasana to see his medical consultant. At no time did he tell us that he was resigning until we read it through other circles that indeed he had resigned from us, and for his own reasons, some of which you have now known. The same is true with Makaru from Rukungiri. He did not decline the appointment, just as he did not tell us why he did not show up. So that is the situation. But for me, I never shared any money, although I used to receive my transport refund from here each time I came. If that is the refund, if that is the bribe, I must admit I received my transport refund.
The board to the committee, and the aggrieved parties we were told were Besigye and Nandala, mainly because they had quarreled in the National Council. In consultation with the aggrieved parties, frame issues or questions that are to be resolved between them. Have an interface with the aggrieved parties and their witnesses, if any, and allow them to present evidence. Invite any person or expert that the committee may deem necessary or may be having important information that the committee may use in resolving the dispute. Come with a detailed report with the findings, recommendations, and prescribed remedies to the parties. The spirit in which the committee has been constituted is to resolve the dispute between senior party leaders in an honest, balanced, peaceful manner and with equity. The committee should observe the principle of neutral natural justice and the principle of utmost good faith. So we followed this. Somebody may think that we don't have even the brains to interpret our terms of reference. That is his opinion. But that's what we did. You were not here when I said that even World Bank reports, they are criticized. So now you're asking me the question, the last question. Don't you think this will divide the party more?
Than uniting them.
We gave those men chance to appear before us and to brainstorm with us about the future. They decided the next day to go viral, even before the report was released. Now, what should we have done? What could we have done if people decided to go the way they behaved?
Maybe what they wanted explicitly